NEO Scavenger may be the trailer that I'm the most proud of producing. That said, most of the advice that I'd offer on it is terrible. Seriously, it's awful. But it worked for us, so I hope at least you find it funny. So here it is, 6 terrible tips from our NEO Scavenger trailer. Number 1. Encourage the developer to do his own half-naked cosplay. NEO Scavenger starts with you wearing nothing but a hospital gown and a necklace. Then you venture out into the cold and unforgiving world, alone. So when the game's creator, Daniel Fedor, came to me and said, hey, I want to act all this half-naked hospital robe-wearing stuff out in real life, I said, of course. Let's do it. For added fun, think about what it would look like to cosplay your own game's trailer. Like I said, it's probably a bad idea, though it might be a useful practice if you're showing your game at an actual trade show like PAX. Terrible advice number 2. Show. Wait, no. Tell, don't show. Here's the thing, NEO Scavenger is hard to make sense of at first glance. Heck, even after a number of glances, you might still be lost. The game really plays up that tell, don't show angle, especially in combat where it's mostly about what happens in your imagination and not on screen. This is where we identify the perfect place to employ Dan's half-naked cosplay, acting out a scenario from the game. NEO Scavenger takes place in a slightly crappier version of our own world, plus it was winter when we started this, so a simple backyard in late winter looks like a post-apocalypse. Dan was really close with the cinematography team, Digital Cyclops, who was amazing by the way. And even more conveniently, Dalius Blake showed up. Dude's a master of looking intimidating. But yeah, seriously, show don't tell is the conventional wisdom, and it's the right way to go with a trailer 99% of the time. Except for when your game is literally the opposite. We did the live acting thing because it was the best way to put unfamiliar audiences into the mindset of the game. Terrible tip number 3. Crowdsource your script. So this might be the worst advice yet. Never ask your players, what should I put in the trailer? You're gonna get a whole lot of useless garbage to wade through. Glad we didn't do that. Well, we sort of did. If you ask what precise experience in this game captures this full emotion, and you really curate the question, you might be able to focus people towards one-sentence responses. You might get something usable. You might even get something perfect. Now, we actually had players to ask. We had over 100 responses, so that's a lot for me to pick from. But seriously, crowdsourcing your script is normally just the world's worst advice. Now, I'm going to stop right there and show you the trailer. You really have to take things in to really get the last couple points. Cool, let's check it out.
Damn it! Just listen for a second.
A second.
This is the best I've done, okay? Before, I was barefoot, freezing, pneumonia-riddled. I was torn apart by dogmen while I slept in a shed. But look, this time? Huh? I'll never see a plastic bag the same way I did before. Kingdom for a plastic bag.
Better tools for the job.
All right, look. I get how things are looking here, but at least, I felt invincible when I learned how to boil water in a whiskey bottle.
Yeah. I felt the same way when I brutally kicked an unconscious man to death over the course of several minutes. I mean, why scrounge for wet potato chips and gummy bears when a human being can keep you fed for weeks? With his bruised corpse at my feet, I bent down and robbed him of a pink flip-flop.
Cool. Final pieces of bad advice. Shove players' words into on-screen actors' mouths. Nobody likes it when you put words in their mouth. But we did it anyway. You couldn't see our actors' mouths because they were, like characters in the game, wearing rags that covered their mouths as rudimentary air filters. So we made sure that the actors looked like they were talking, with the plan of putting another actor's voice on them. Now, we did this because it was really important to me that players of the game really gave voice to the experience. But because players aren't typically voice actors, I went for the Uber players. Those who love the game, but also created their own content. I'm not 100% sure that we did this perfectly, but I am sure that this was the right call, because when you share players' voices, you can actually capture their passion for the game. These guys, Nelson and Phil, they really love NEO Scavenger, so I was like, yes, I'm going to use you guys, because you really get it. Usually people can tell if someone has just hired help, but passion transcends. If you dare try this approach, go for it. but go for the passionate. 5. String random players' experiences into one singular story. This is the weirdest one. We took all these player testimonies, the half-naked cosplay, voice actors, and glimpses of gameplay, and we brought it all together in a way that's clearly not for everybody. The best trailers are one clear story. It starts, it ends, and there's a clear thread the whole way through. You feel like you're along for the ride. This is a universal truth. You can put that in your pocket. But we had like over 100 stories, and we wanted to link it into one single one. That took first writing it into a modular script. The modular script had one goal: extract the stories and assemble it into one story. Like I said, you gotta be super specific to make any of this work. This was really just planning. That mostly worked because NEO Scavenger just kind of automatically generates these kinds of stories, and because of the pre-existing audience. Last piece of terrible advice: leave viewers with a sick taste in their mouth. NEO Scavenger's tone is so weird. Like, normally you want players to feel powerful, capable of doing anything, and excited when they end the trailer, maybe itching for a fight. Instead, we figured it was better to make people feel icky. You're welcome to copy this idea if you think it might work for you. But because we wanted to hit the distinctives of the game, and what really made it what it is, we ended on the creep factor. If you're looking for something actually usable here, focus on your game's one-of-a-kind distinct feeling. Also, it's worth noting that we lightened up the whole bleak as hell thing, at least a tiny bit. So yeah, all of this is terrible advice because it's really specific to NEO Scavenger. So once again, those tips are: number 1, encourage the developer to do his own half-naked cosplay. 2, tell, don't show, aka use live action. 3, crowdsource your script. 4, shove players' words in on-screen actors' mouths. 5, string random player experiences into a singular story. And 6, leave players with a sick taste in their mouth. So yeah, all of this is terrible, terrible advice. Don't do these things unless you're sure it's going to work for your game. It's terrible mostly because it's so specific to NEO Scavenger, but I want to leave you with a real useful takeaway. Consider your game deeply, how people play it, how they talk about it, what they dream about after playing it before bedtime. Then craft your game's trailer around these experiences. I'm M. Joshua. Find me at mjoshua.com and feel free to subscribe for the next time we look at some game trailer takeaways.